Hello, welcome back. It's the 102nd episode of Lions Roar Dharma Center's show, Talk Openly. We're so glad you're here with us. My name's Jack, and I'm always here. So happy to be here with my excellent friend, Daniel. Hello, Daniel.
Hey, buddy. Hey, Jack.
Hey,
Congratulations on making it to episode 102.
we should really have that much excitement for every single episode as we did for episode 101, huh?
Yeah. We'll work on it. Although I'd like to have a balance in my excitement about the show. I don't want to
Yeah.
be, yeah,
Oh yeah,
since
you don't want to be too excited, right?
that's right. That's right. Exactly.
Well, and that's what we're talking about tonight is excitement in shamatha meditation, which I it's a perennial issue for me.
Indeed, it's come up many times.
Yeah.
When I
So,
think about restlessness and excitement in meditation, I think of you.
oh, good.
Yeah.
Well, you should because it's my main obstacle. As I'm sure it's for many of our listeners. So you'll be coming along this journey with us. I'm excited to hear from you, Daniel, about how excitement shows up, and then next week we're going to talk about its excitement's kind of counterpart, which is laxity and
That
lethargy.
one's mine.
I know, that's what I was thinking. We're a good pair in that way.
Yes, indeed.
Well, my apologies if I'm a little bit nasally. I had a cold over the weekend. Wasn't COVID, but kind of knocked me out for a day or two.
Hmm.
So I'm still kind of, yeah, getting through the stuffies.
But you're on the upward and outward
Yes.
trajectory. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Good.
I went to work today and yesterday, wore a mask, and things were fine. But yeah, my partner has been in bed for like the last 4 days.
Oh no.
So it really knocked him out.
It
Um,
got both of you at the same time.
Not both of us. Yeah.
Ugh. Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, it's been pretty nasty, but
I'm sorry. That sucks. But I'm glad
I'm
that
all right.
you're improving. I hope they improve as well.
Thank you.
Quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks. But how are you? I want to hear about your week and is your life completely different after episode 101? Are you like a new man? Are you, are you like
I feel like an old man, Jack, after that many episodes.
totally.
Yeah, dude, you gotta if for whatever reason, if you happen to hear a lot of screaming and noise and barking in the background, the family is currently watching one of the worst movies ever made, according to the person who advocated for the movie to be
Oh,
watched.
geez.
Shark Tale 2.
Okay, okay. I haven't heard of it, but I can imagine.
Yeah, apparently it's not a good movie. It's like so bad that they had to watch it. So I have a
Yeah.
feeling,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
that's yeah. So if you hear a lot of noise in the background, it's because of Shark Tale 2.
Any shrieking?
There will probably be sounds. Hopefully this mic will keep it from coming through. It'll filter it out. No,
So far,
I
so good.
man, dude, besides the noisy background, I also I'm just like my mind is jelly tonight. Like
Yeah.
complete jelly. Like it's been, whatever, it's been a lot going on, but I made this mistake. I I was gonna wake up at 4 o'clock this morning to go to the gym.
Yeah.
And I made the mistake of going to bed after 10 o'clock
Oh,
last
yeah. That's
and
tough.
then and no nap, no nothing. So then I was like, I was like, man, I can really tell my mind. I can't find words.
Yeah.
I can't hold a whole train of thought and that kind of thing. And so then a couple of hours ago, I thought, you know what? I'm gonna make a matcha green tea latte.
Uh-huh.
That'll do it. It did it.
It
Nothing.
didn't.
No, no. So if I'm a little bit on the boring jelly side, that's why. That's why.
I like you anyways.
Yeah, thank you,
Yeah,
Jack.
silly
Thank
or
you.
not.
I appreciate that. I just wanted to put that out there. I wanted to name it so that everyone was aware,
Thank
like
you.
if I seem off, that's probably what it is. But no, things are decently good. Um I'm happy to report that the stability in my meditation practice, or not, let's not say stability, the regularness is coming back after a little bit of a sort of turbulent period, and that feels really, really good. Um, and it's one of the things that's showing up for me now is my ex-wife's mom just died last week.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
my kid's Grammy, their first grandparent to die.
Yeah.
And so it's been really interesting to observe the like how this ripple effect works, right?
Mm.
How, like how we really are, like it shows the interconnectedness because I wasn't super close to her in recent years. In fact, I don't think I was ever all that close to her, but
Yeah.
didn't even see her in recent years. And yet, because of the proximity and relation, there's this effect that sort of like wraps me into it as a result of being connected with my family and stuff. And so I'm really, grateful for my practice and especially the compassion practices, because it's really helped me to have a real tender heart, towards
Yeah.
my ex, and I've talked about it a few times over the years. It wasn't always that way, but
Right.
with a lot of practice, a lot of training, it's really softened up a lot, and it's really enjoyable to be able to be there. Even if you're, even when there's, maybe some hard feelings in the relationship or whatever, to be able
Right.
to sort of put that to the side and be like, no, man, I'm here. This is tough. I'll be here for you. So I'm really grateful for that, and it's interesting too to notice how there's this effect in me, right? Where I tend to have like I'm pretty hmm, emotionally unintelligent and unavailable in most, yeah, like
Yeah.
I'm not really in touch
Yeah.
with my feelings. Um
Yeah.
getting there.
Surprises me
We're
a little bit.
Yeah, I can fake it, but but there's like a little inner psychopath here or whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
I'm
Yeah.
not sure if that's the right way to phrase it, um but it's kind of for me really interesting to notice when I feel that just that raw sort of like heartbreakingness, and it typically doesn't show up that much in relation to my own experience, my own life experience, but it's very easy. It comes up very quickly when I notice other people really suffering.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So your compassion just kind of opens up.
Yeah, yeah, somehow it's like that's what I mean. Like, so I'm sort of like unavailable emotionally for myself, right? Like I'm not
Yeah.
unavailable, but kind of like closed off or guarded or something
Yeah.
like that, not in touch with. But when I see it very clearly outside, like in other people, then it tends to have this sort of feeling where I'm like, oh my God, that's what grief feels like,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I think that resonates with me.
Yeah.
Um, I can see that for myself too in some ways. Um, yeah, I mean, I have not had a lot of experiences of grief, but when people are grieving around me, I can really feel it. You
Yeah. Yeah.
um, yeah, that's interesting. Huh.
One thing I'm really grateful for too, besides that, is that my my excitement uh around Buddhism in general and around these practices is that like my excitement around them has evolve beyond the trying to convert or preach or try to fix or try to do something with this, because I think that in times like these it would be man, if it pisses people off when in other times like this would be one of those places where it'd really be uncalled for to try to fix things using some kind of philosophy or whatever.
Yeah.
It turns out that that was something that I did do a decent amount early on, because I
Mm.
really had this deep desire. I'm like, I know what'll fix this, impermanence, interdependence, emptiness, but
People are like, you.
yeah, man. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that is exactly the reaction. So now it's a lot more real and a lot more genuine. And it turns out it's a lot more simpler. It's simple, like to be, if I can sort of like just drop like do it like I do in shamatha, right? Kind of put myself to the side for a moment, then I can just be present with them, see what they need and respond. And
Yeah.
It's a lot more helpful.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Good work.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks. So that's what's going on with me. And yeah,
Yeah.
what about you?
Um, man, I've been feeling a little bit down about just kind of world stuff,
Oh yeah.
Plenty of world stuff to feel down about
It's a
these
shit
days.
show out there.
It really is. Yeah, it's kind of amazing with,
Yeah.
the hurricanes, like, um, yeah, completely just destroyed North Carolina, and now there's
Yeah.
another one heading for Florida, and it's like
Mm.
beyond the mathematical calculations that like people have done for hurricanes before. It's just like so honestly feeling a little bit of fear, I think, and
Yeah.
sadness, a little bit of yeah, just anticipatory grief, I think. Like,
Wow, yeah.
like
What about anger? I mean, people have been telling us that this is scientists have been
oh,
telling us for decades. This is coming. This is coming if we
that
don't change
that
our
does
ways.
happen. That does happen sometimes, anger. But I think a lot of it is just sadness,
Yeah.
And sometimes I can sense a little bit of spiritual bypassing when I'm, in these states of mind where I'll kind of be like, well, things are impermanent anyways, right? Or like, kind of, uh, like, well, humans are going to be this destructive until we can like learn to act differently, which both of those things are true, but there's a way that I'm kind of using it to like actually numb what I'm feeling,
Yeah.
which I don't think that that's what the Dharma is teaching us to do. Like I think
Hmm.
if anything, from what I've learned, the Dharma teaches us to be really aware and present for what we're experiencing. And
That's right.
what I'm experiencing right now is a lot of sadness around that. And so, yeah, while the Dharma truths of impermanence and uh, attachment, craving, all of that are true, I'm also trying to allow myself to just feel that all those things.
I
Yeah.
really appreciate what you're saying. That hits the mark with me as well. It oftentimes feels like I'm trying to use these concepts or tools as a way to sort of like make things more comfortable or better or easier or
Yeah.
something. You reminded me of something I read by Trungpa Rinpoche where he said something to the effect of, I'm not quoting him here, but it was something like, from the aerial point of view, like from up above what you're saying is true, right? Like, yeah, look, it's emptiness and it's this, that, whatever, impermanent. Yep, yep, all those truths. But you're on the ground,
Yeah.
right? So
Right.
it's okay to it's good, it's helpful to remember, like, yeah, that this is true, but right now I'm here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And let
Yeah.
me work with what's here, right? Like it'd be
Yeah.
nice if I was up there sort of like I don't know if you saw this, but I saw there was a video released today from the space station of the hurricane,
Oh, wow.
right? And it was so beautiful and so serene and so it was so just there was something so calm about it,
Yeah.
right? Like it looked really like there was nothing bad happening there, right?
Yeah.
But if you're
Yeah.
down there and that thing's about to, hit your town, floodwaters are coming, all that, it doesn't feel serene. It doesn't look pretty.
Right. Right. Yeah. No, I mean, that's such
Two
a
truths.
two truths. That's right. Yeah. Well, and like, yeah, we don't need to make that palatable. We don't need
No,
to, right? We don't want
no.
to make samsara palatable. In fact, we want to see it for what it is, which is like, this is terrible.
That's right.
Like,
And we
this
don't
is
want to we
terrible.
especially don't want to be distorting the Dharma to do that. Right.
Yeah, no, no. See, I'm working with my mind a little bit on that and feeling my emotions
Yeah.
and um yeah, dealing with some just a little bit of roommate conflict,
Okay.
and stuff like that, where like gotten a little bit of a conflict right before I sat down for a meditation today.
Okay.
And man, my mind was just like all over the place. And
Ah.
and uh, so we'll probably talk about it in our show tonight, right? About
Yeah.
excitement and external objects and whatnot. But yeah, so this is life. This is the ebbs and flows. I see my mom this Thursday and Friday, which will be good. That's another way I can practice with my mind, is seeing my lovely mom, who we have lots of differences, so in a lot of ways, but um
Do you guys like to explore those differences together, or do you just sort of shove them under the sweep them under the rug for a minute?
typically we sweep them under the rug, but there have been one or two times that we'll kind of force each other to confront some of those things together.
Okay.
And in the last year or two, that's felt much more connecting, rather than, what used to happen is disconnection,
Right.
um, when talking about things that we disagreed upon. So that's definitely a big change that the Dharma has brought, is that, I was gonna say I don't need to win anymore, but actually I feel that way quite often, right? Is that like I still feel a lot of times like I need to win the conversation or something, but it's definitely lessened. Um and my kind of like, oh, do you know that feeling of that intensity of like,
Mm-hmm.
but no, you
Mm-hmm.
must understand my
Oh yeah.
perspective, and it's the
Oh
right
yeah.
one actually. And so like, how stupid are you?
Yeah, come
There's
on.
such an
Let me
ugly
pull the
feeling.
wool from your eyes.
Right, right. Oh, it's such an
Yeah.
ugly feeling. But so now, at least with my mom, that's changed quite a bit, where it's like I'm not trying to force her to see a certain way, but I do want her to understand me. Um, and I want us to love each other regardless.
So
So,
there might actually still be some sparring going on, but the difference is that you went from like a cage match in the like UFC or whatever they call that, right? Where it's all tight and it's like intense and there's no escape, right?
yeah,
To
yeah.
more like maybe like a gladiatorial arena where there's more like space and you can kind of take your time.
We can see it that way. We could I don't think we're not trying to kill each other though. That's for sure.
Good.
We've moved beyond that.
Yay. That's progress.
That is progress. Yeah, I'm trying to get in better touch with my creative side, because I realize what medicine that is for me. And Lama Jinpa says quite often, like, art saves lives,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's the reason why he started, the program at the end of the month. Remind me.
Expressions.
Yes, expressions. I lost the word. Um, is because art is such a crucial way to touch into parts of our experience that are otherwise
Yeah.
unspeakable. And so I've gotten into my studio, quote unquote, one or two times just to kind of work on some art, and that's been really nice.
Well,
And I've also,
I'd love to hear more about it. What's your
oh
like what do you
yeah,
mean? What's your studio and what's your art?
oh, just the garage,
Yeah.
and I used to paint quite a lot. I painted, and I liked drawing. Um, but it's been years since I've really done much of anything.
Oh.
But I used to have a very consistent art practice. In fact, I would do it more than I meditate now. I would spend hours and hours doing art, almost every day, and that was really great. I don't have time for that now, which is fine, but it would be nice just to have that as part of
Yeah.
my practice, because I realized um, the way that I would process emotions through the art process, um, was just so, I don't know, it's kind of gorgeous. It's like, this kind of tapping into something beyond me, right? Like there's a
Yeah.
way that it's very universal, and so trying to get back into that a little bit. But part of what I've been doing is just reading poetry and also looking at other people's art. But I found this poetry book. I don't know if you can see the title, um, but it's selected poems of Chaya Tao. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but he lived in the 8th century, Chinese poet. Um, and the title is When I Find You Again, It Will Be in Mountains. And something about that title just like really, I don't know, was kind of riveting to me. Like it struck, it just like struck a chord with me when um I read that. I had actually found a poem of his in another book that I have and wanted to look him up. And so I ended up buying this book. Um, and if it's okay, maybe I'll just read a poem to you. Is that okay?
Oh, I'd love it, please.
Okay. Okay, good, good. Um, So let's see. Sent to Changsun Chiao Chiao, a mountain friend. This time of year, the weather is chilly. No need for Lute Courtyard to be open. The crane, like you, has no tangled affairs. Wind blows rain all through the mountains. Pines grow on rocks the color of nature. Streams fall from between white clouds. There is a trail connecting with the summit of Mount Sung. I still have hopes of returning there with you.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
just find it so there's something really beautiful about his poems, and they're all that length and um about nature and humans existing within nature, and yeah, I find it really lovely.
Beautiful. That's fantastic. And I'm really glad that you shared the part about your using creativity, as a mode of sort of personal expression and exploration and that type of healing.
Yeah.
Um, I didn't know that had no idea that you were an artist like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Well, it's been a while, and I never really identified with the label, I guess, but yeah.
wouldn't it be really wonderful if maybe we can make it an aspiration, or maybe I can make it a wish to manifest your art at one of the expression shows?
Oh, that's very sweet. It would be stuff from like, I don't know, 2016, 17. But
That's
yeah,
okay.
that's
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, yeah.
Or maybe that and a new piece or two that you happen to find the time to work on between now
True.
and then.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I like it.
Hmm.
Well, should we train our minds? I think that's always a good thing.
It's the goal.
That's the goal. Some
Ah,
John.
some Lojong slogan. All right. So I've
Yeah.
got the random Lojong slogan generator up on the lionsroar.dharmacenter.org website, where you can find it
That's
and use it yourself.
great.
All right.
So, okay, number 53, don't fluctuate. I don't know if we've had this one before. Um, let's see what Choyam Trungpa has to say. So you should not vacillate in your enthusiasm for practice. If you sometimes practice and other times do not, that will not give birth to certainty in the Dharma. Therefore, don't think too much. Just concentrate one pointedly on mind training.
Oof. I feel like this one's actually coming at me,
Is it? How
It
so?
is. Like I mentioned at the outset, I had a little bit of fluctuation in the last couple of weeks, I guess. Or some sort of on and off. And I don't know if it was maybe yeah, I think it would be enthusiasm for practice that was vacillating there.
Mm,
Um, and so it's interesting how I was thinking about how like it's almost like you have to like steep yourself in it, right? To remain cognizant and aware and like to continue practicing. Like there are these times like when I'm really enthusiastically practicing regularly, oh my God, I'm just like, wow,
yeah,
this is amazing and this stuff works. And like, how could anybody like I actually thought I was thinking this the other day. I had previously said, like, I don't get it. How is it that somebody can come into contact with the Dharma and then leave? And
uh,
go back into samsara, into this sort of like regular, ordinary world and forget about the Dharma. How could that possibly work? And then I had this sort of realization, like, yeah, if you stop practicing, that's what
yeah,
happens, right?
yeah, yeah, big
And
time.
so even for relatively short periods of time, I do notice that, right? This sort of where all of a sudden other thoughts, the monkey begins to take control, right? Like my little monkey mind friend is always with me. It's just sometimes it's totally placated and is okay, it's satisfied, and if I'm practicing, right, diligently, that monkey mind is not a problem. It's like present,
Yeah.
but it's okay. It's not causing me any trouble for me or anybody else. But when I begin to sort of vacillate or let go a little bit and, like ease up on it, then maybe not the easing up on it part, but certainly if I'm not enthusiastic about it, then it's like the monkey's like, hey, all right, let me, I'll jump in again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you this is gonna be kind of a funny question, but is there like a switch? Is there like an enthusiasm switch that you can turn on? Because like I have a really hard, there's some days where I just like it's not on, like I am offline and it's really hard to stimulate that enthusiasm for practice. And
Hmm.
so at the same time, I do it, but there's like this kind of I guess lethargy of my mind.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
my subjective experience is like very kind of like ugh, you know.
Yeah, but if you notice, because of doing this training for a while, there it has momentum, right? So it's really hard, even if you're not even if you lose your sort of like daily practice for a bit, at least in my experience, it's pretty hard to like stop the mindfulness aspect of it and the awareness of what's happening.
Mm,
There's what I notice more is that in the lack of enthusiasm or the lethargy or the whatever, it's like avoidance. It's this just sort of like, I don't want to, I can't right now, whatever.
yeah,
But then the switch, the thing that kind of like pulls me back is that I'm watching myself cause trouble for myself.
yeah,
you
totally.
know
Yeah,
I'm
for
why
sure.
I mean, like before I wasn't even aware of this, this monkey. Now I can see when it starts to act up and cause some trouble,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And that is actually the switch, is I'm like, whoa, 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 hang
Wait a
on.
minute.
I know what you're capable of, right? Like, let me do what needs to happen to tame you here, because I don't want wild monkey running around. It's no good for me or anybody that's around me.
Yeah, totally.
And I only have to have a little taste of it. You know what I mean? Back in the day, that monkey was like, throwing things
Oh
and,
yeah.
screaming and fighting and stuff, but it's not like that anymore, but not, thankfully. But when it shows up, I'm kind of like, dang, what's that stink? What's that? What is that? Right? And it's my old
Totally.
friend, the monkey.
Yeah, no, that's a really good way of putting it, that it's you kind of through your experience of having a consistent practice can sense how that lack of enthusiasm is creating just like miniature chaos through your life.
Yeah, yeah, and it
Yeah,
is in fact
absolutely.
that where I recognize that and I'm like, oh man, I got to get back in,
Yeah,
and always it's just like all other habit patterns, right? Like it kind of like builds up, and there's always this sort of like resistance to change. So even if like I noticed the other day, I was like, I sort of been putting off meditation. And then I was like, I gotta get my butt over to the Dharma Center today. I have to, because I can see like my mind is getting, a little bit messier here. And I just like there was resistance. There was this sort of feeling
yeah,
of like, no, I want to like, not that I wanted to stay in this sort of funk or anything, but just that I was like, I haven't, I haven't for a bit here and like whatever.
yeah,
And then just like, shut up, go do it, sit your butt down.
right.
And all of a sudden, like, oh, right. Oh, now I remember this.
Yeah. Have you noticed like and I'm not sure if I have a fully formed thought about this, but there's times where I'm like a lot more what feels like chaotic in my mind. Like there's a lot going on maybe in my life, like I'm stressed out, I'm having arguments with people or whatever, just conflict. And then I'll sit and it'll be like one of the most focused sits.
Oh, yeah.
Like I'm really
Oh,
ready
yeah.
for it. And I'm
Right.
just wondering like what's happening there? Like what, like is it that my mind is like reminding me like, hey, this is what you're doing this for, like come back, don't don't get caught up in all the drama or whatever. Um, or yeah, just like what is happening there? I can't figure it out. Like why
Don't
is
you think that
something
maybe what it is like um that we're aware of slurping up the fertilizer, so to speak. Like that's our roots, our deep down, our lotus roots deep down in the muck, and like our
yeah,
we're pulling in some stuff to work with. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
because it does seem like sometimes those states of mind that you described, sometimes they actually there's this experience I've had a few times where like I'm I feel like, oh, this stuff's not working, like I'm not, like something's not right, and I'm still like there's like whatever, there's still this aggressiveness, or there's still this something there, and then in that same sort of experience there's some kind of like little pinprick in, mini insight or something where I'm like, oh, that's what that I see, right? And then I'll bring that into my, like that'll be part of the practice. So
Yeah,
I think like I kind of just think of it as like sucking up the slop down there at the bottom.
yeah, totally. Okay, that's how I'm gonna think of it now. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
I
that's
like
your
it.
fertilizer.
That's your fertilizer. Well, who's this beautiful Buddha we see up here?
That is the seventh bodhisattva from
Wow, sweet. How gorgeous is that? It's a embroidery or
yeah, it looks like a silk and gold thread
wow.
embroidery from China.
That's amazing. And
Yeah.
it's in Cleveland. Isn't that bizarre?
That's where all the good things are.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Yeah.
Isn't Elizabeth Wadsworth in Cleveland? We have a
I
friend out there.
Yeah, I don't know if
Yeah,
she's in
A
Cleveland.
Dharma friend.
Yeah, we'll have to find out. I
Yeah,
will.
hopefully
I
it's
don't
okay that
know.
I mentioned that. Sorry. Um, well, Dirk, as always, will put some beautiful art up there, so check it out. But
Yeah, yeah. There's good stuff there for sure.
yeah,
I'm so glad that it was you were the one who brought up this idea of us doing those Lojong slogans, and I'm eternally grateful too. I think
it's
it's
so
fantastic.
fun.
It's good stuff,
Yeah.
and it's good. It's a good daily practice too. I think I've mentioned it. It's on my little browser, so I like click it, read it over in the morning. It kind of
It
echoes
almost,
around. Yeah.
yeah, and it feels like a little horoscope, kind of,
It
in a way. You know
is.
what
It
I
is.
mean?
Yeah, there is that component where you're like, why did you deliver? It's like I've been playing with tarot cards lately.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
A lot of fun, right? It feels
Yeah.
similar where you're like, okay, great Lojong slogan. What wisdom do you have for me today? You know,
Yep. Yeah, and usually it's just what you need too, no matter
it
what it
is.
is. Yeah.
Truly, truly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Daniel, we're talking about excitement tonight in Shamatha. And
How exciting.
how exciting, right? And when we think about that word, excitement, yeah, typically we think about what you just mentioned, where it's something where you're like, hey, we're looking forward to this. I can't wait until we do this, like yeah, stoked, right? We're excited.
Yeah.
Not this time, not this excitement. It's a
Oh,
little different, isn't it? So unfortunately, so excitement
I
is
think they're related, Jack.
I think they're related. Yeah, they're related. Oh, most definitely. But how it shows up in meditation, for me at least, is this like, it's almost like this irritability. Like my mind is like inflamed, right? Like that's how I think of excitement in meditation, is that my mind is just going off in all different directions and it can't just settle down. And so that's what excitement in shamatha meditation is. And if you haven't picked up Calming the Mind by Genlam Rinpa, you must. And if you're a student of Lama Jinpa's, if he hasn't told you already that you need to read it 10 times, that's your task over your lifetime, or maybe, in a few years, if you can. Read this book. It's short and it's on shamatha meditation. And so Genlam Rinpa says Excitement is a state of mind that occurs when focusing upon a sensual object with which one is previously acquainted, and it causes the mind to be scattered outwards.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
a sensual object with which one is previously acquainted. So, something that is in our kind of material world, right? Something external to us, something that we're either attracted to or repulsed by.
Like sometimes our roommates.
Like, yes, yeah, exactly. Yes. Something, yes, outside of us, external to us that we're just kind of grinding our gears on, you know? And so it is, it's a very irritable mind, even if it's something that we're attracted to and like maybe lusting for, right? Because
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
the mind in meditation can go so many directions. Sometimes, I've caught myself in so many different kind of like sensual pleasures, right? The
Oh
obvious
yeah.
one is sex when you're thinking about
Yeah.
sensual pleasure. But just today, like, or it was yesterday's meditation, all I could think about were these cupcakes that I I knew I'm gonna be picking up from a bakery tomorrow evening for my partner's birthday. And I could not stop thinking about freaking cupcakes. So the mind will just, it's almost like there's some nights where it's anything, where it's honestly just like
Yeah.
anything that my mind can get attached to, and it's gonna be off to the races.
Oh my gosh.
I
I
have a
love that.
very excited mind. It's really, really the obstacle.
Can I ask you about that? So does it so when you're excited like this,
Yeah.
are you is your mind like flitting between different sense objects? Or is it sort of like in this like the cupcake case? You're excited and you're like you keep thinking about the cupcakes. Is it kind of like just the cupcakes, or do you go for cupcakes, cupcakes, sex? Oh yeah, no, no, now I'm on vacation. Oh no, now, like is it
Oh,
is
it's
it a
everything.
jumpingness?
It's
Like,
everything. And
yeah.
and that actually, so there's a couple different ways that excitement manifests. And so gross excitement is like when the mind can't even remain on like the breath or the Buddha image, even when you've applied antidotes. And so that's when my mind is like that, when I'm trying to apply antidotes, it's going all over the place. Like I'm not even just focused on cupcakes. Like
Yeah.
um I was talking with Mama a while back in Darshan, and I was telling him about how, excitable my mind is. Um, and that I was really at that time very focused on work, because I was still pretty new to my job and just like thinking constantly about like how can I do my job better basically, and like learn all these different therapy
Yeah.
techniques, all the things. And he encouraged me to think, like well, maybe your shamatha can be on like a client, like be meditating on that client and what what you would
Yeah.
like to do with them. And I've tried that. Like there's times where like I'll actually try that, but it's like it's not that my mind is necessarily excited and wanting to think about a particular thing. It's that it's scattered. Like my mind is
Yeah.
extremely scattered. And so that's actually a little bit different than just excitement. Like scattering is another kind of quality of mind where you're just kind of like all over the place. Um, and it's interesting. There's he again, Lama
So
Rinpoche.
wait a second. Wait,
Yeah,
wait,
yeah,
wait, wait,
yeah.
wait, 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 wait.
I know I'm getting
So
excited, right? There's so much to talk about.
so there can so I guess this is getting at what I was asking you. So there's excitement with scattering and excitement with focus?
I mean, that's a good question. So there's subtle excitement where your mind can be focused on the object and like the object of your meditation, like the breath or a Buddha. Um, and your mind can also be thinking about something else. So that's like um subtle excitement. But I don't know, but my intuition is that excitement can't be like your object. Or may actually, as I'm saying that, um you can focus on the quality of your mind. Like you can uh reflect on and meditate on the very quality of your mind that's happening in the moment. Um so maybe, sure, that can be a form of shamatha. Like if you're
Yeah.
just focusing on, okay, the state of my mind. Um so yeah, sure, maybe that there is that as a potential.
See, because to me, when I think about this obstacle, this excitement aspect of, this trouble that we get with excitement, I always think of it as like a state that makes it like really hard to focus
Yeah.
and and to remain still, right? So there's these different components. Sometimes it feels mental, sometimes it feels physical. Not that there's a distinction, but sometimes it arises in the body and sometimes it feels like it arises in the mind, whatever.
Mhm.
Um, but like it feels to me like the quality of excitement as an obstacle in meditation is precisely that it makes it difficult to focus. So if you were able to focus on whatever on your work project, or yeah, I'm excited about a work project and I can focus on it. Good. You're meditating,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
But I would think that then in that case, that's your object of meditation, right? Like you're not focusing on one object and then getting distracted by another, right? You're choosing, I'm going to stick with this object that is external to me,
Right.
right? But I'm staying with it. And then
Right.
the excitement would happen when you're then taken off of that object onto another one.
Exactly. You can't focus.
Yeah.
You can't stay on it, right?
Yeah.
Because that's kind of what I'm getting at is isn't the scattering an indicator of this excitement or this restlessness?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Most definitely.
That's what I was getting at. I was like, man, so I don't think that I'm not quite sure that it'd be possible to have non-scattered restlessness or excitement
Yeah. Yeah,
as
no,
an
yeah,
obstacle.
I see what you're saying. Um,
Like
yeah, so
that's a
what's
defining
interesting is that
quality.
like
Right.
Ginlam Rinpa says that so scattering is a mental factor that is similar to excitement, yet there are distinctions between the two. Is it okay if I read the
Yeah, please
couple
do.
sentences?
Yeah.
So excitement, by its very definition, is something that draws attention away from the object of meditation by the force of attachment, craving, and lust. Scattering also draws the attention away from the object, but it is not necessarily propelled by attachment. It may be propelled by some virtuous topic, or may be conjoined with some other mental distortion apart from attachment. Interesting.
I
Why have I
see.
not
I
felt like I
see.
understood this before? I
Okay.
literally, okay, I have a tally mark. I have a tally mark. I have read this 5 times. I'm on my sixth read through. And I have not felt like I read that paragraph before, right?
No, no, but
And
I
I've
get
and
it.
I've read
Yeah.
it, right? I've read it to
Right.
prepare for this. So that is so interesting. So excitement is all about attachment.
That's right.
Okay,
Yeah. Okay.
fascinating.
And so the scattering quality is not necessarily under that
Yeah,
control. It's
yeah,
just the quality of the mind,
yeah.
whereas the excitement aspect of it is this craving or this
Being
attachment.
pulled away by that
Oh,
desire.
that's really helpful. I'm glad that you read that.
Yeah. So I'm okay. So I think I'm less of an excited person in meditation and more of a scatterbrain because I have scattering with pride, I have scattering with laziness, I have scattering with jealousy and all
Yes.
kinds of things. But I also have sometimes scattering with thoughts of bodhicitta,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's times where I'm like, I remember complaining about this to Lama. I was like, I don't know. I was like, I don't know what's going on, but I'm having like really like lots of wonderful thoughts. There's nothing wrong with my thought. Like they're really good. It's all about being beneficial or, it's about, it's like good stuff. There's no negative anything. He's like, Yeah, I mean, sure, that's fine, but it's still not meditating.
Yeah.
Good that you recognize it though.
Yeah. What he told me one time was like, you know, that's better.
Yes,
Right?
right,
Like
right.
that's
Exactly.
better than like scattering on like
On
how
hatred.
right. But yes, still not single pointed meditation.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, this is really exciting. I feel like
Hmm.
I've learned a lot just by reviewing this. Um, where do you like, do you notice, are there times where you can get pretty like in the zone, you're pretty focused on your breath and staying with it? Do you notice that there's times where you're also focusing on something else at the same time? Like there's this kind of divided attention. Does that happen for you ever?
Lots. Yeah.
Yeah,
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 that's okay. I think that's fine.
yeah,
I don't see that that's I think that's the practice, right? Like
yeah, yeah,
we're not going to stop thoughts, but
yeah.
we if we can maintain our focus, right? If we can be concentrated and maintain our awareness on our object, it actually gives us this opportunity to see all that stuff going on. So
Mm-hmm.
that's super, as far as I'm concerned, that's super beneficial.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, it's not a problem. It's something that happens. I would say most of the time. I mean, there's definitely times where I notice the absence of thought, which is really, that's really peaceful. And it's, where I'm just breathing and there's not anything else happening really that I'm aware of. That's kind
mm,
of that's a nice place to be. Um, but yeah, I'd say most of the time, actually, I'm sitting there aware of my breath and I'm also aware of my thoughts.
yeah. Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah. What about yeah, you asked the question, so I guess I'll turnabout's fair
Good.
play.
I was just curious because like I feel like at least right now in my shamatha meditation, I'm still in like level one. Like I'm really like in
That's
level
the so
one.
when they sometimes the levels are the levels are like a river that starts in the mountain and it's in a narrow gorge and it's full of water, and that's
Yeah.
stage one, and it's fast and it's violent and
Yeah.
it's just moving and churning and deep.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that is definitely my experience a lot of the time. Sometimes I feel like I move into like level two,
Yeah.
where it's still kind of chaotic, but getting a little bit more stable. Um, and so I experience a lot of like gross excitement or gross scattering, where it's like I'll just completely forget my object, like I'll just realize I've been sitting there thinking, for several minutes.
Oh yeah, well that happens too.
That happens.
Of course, right? Yeah, you
Okay,
lose,
good.
and then you come back.
Yeah, yeah.
You
Okay, so
notice that you
I'm
left
not
and you come
alone.
back, right?
Okay, good.
Yeah, yeah.
I do
I
come back. But what's funny is that sometimes I'll notice like um I'll come back and it'll be like a breath.
Oh,
Like
and you go right back
literally,
out.
literally one breath and then I'm back out.
Oh yeah.
Like
Oh yeah.
wait, like oh my gosh, like the riptide of
Yeah.
my mind is really strong. Um
Yeah, I feel you on that one. I really do. Even though I've sort of identified on the sloth and torpor side of things, I
yeah,
would say that it very much feels the same way, in the sense that there's this sort of like meandering away from my object of concentration, and then scattering, right? There's
yeah.
like a torpor scatter going on there,
A
right?
torpor scatter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I
Yes.
know, I by scatter I just mean like it's all over the place, and it just like dreamlike, I think I mentioned in the past, where it's not, to me, the experience that I have is when I consider it like excitement,
Yeah.
the thoughts are very clear to me. Like I'm thinking about something, right? And it may not be like focused on it, but like I could see it and I know I'm thinking about it. And then I'm thinking about something else and I'm thinking about something else and I'm thinking about something else, right? But it's very clear. Whereas the other quality, this is very dreamlike. It just flows in and out of thoughts. Like it is scattered. It's all over the place, but it's
Yeah.
not clear. It's not, it doesn't have that sort of fine edge to it, you know? Like it's
Right.
very foggy and murky.
Would you say that's at all reverie, or is reverie even a little bit more intentional than that?
Reverie is more intentional than that.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah, for
yeah, for
sure.
sure, without a doubt.
Yeah,
Reverie, I know that's what I'm doing. I'm intentionally doing it, and then I stop doing it when I'm done doing it.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
whereas this other thing that I'm talking about is that as the obstacle is something that it does not I'm not doing that intentionally.
yeah.
It's
Okay.
the opposite of my intention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. You seem to have a lot of self-control and self-awareness in your meditation that I really admire. I feel like
Oh
I'm,
my gosh.
no, no, really, yeah,
That's not how it feels. That's not the way.
totally.
From the subjective point of view, that's not the way it feels. There's times like I mean like where I'm like, yeah, I recognize like I know I'm meditating or I'm not I'm I can see the quality of it and all that, but I just there is this sort of a little frustration where I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not a perfect meditator yet, which is actually part of this excitement problem, right? Because
Right.
I feel like one of the aspects to excitement that we haven't really talked about yet is the excitement to practice because we're going to get something
We're
out of it.
gonna get it. We're gonna get calm.
I want to get it. I want to get it, right? And that there's that
Yeah.
that's that's also the sort of excited energy. I'm gonna today's the day. I'm gonna yeah, I'm gonna sit for an hour and then like things are gonna happen,
Get like rigid about it, huh?
Yeah, and then I mean, come on, man. Like that's not how it works.
Yeah. Yeah, 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 for sure.
Right? But it's
That
still
only like
there.
ratchets up the pressure too, which I think only leads to more excitement. Yeah. It's
More
like,
excitement, right?
yeah, I
Well,
mean,
that's just it, is that
um,
so the resist so that's one of the things about it, right? Is that if you try to force calm, you try to force peace by like resisting the excitement or suppressing it or whatever, it's just going
yeah,
to agitate you more.
totally,
Right?
totally.
Like Trungpa would say about this. This is not again not a direct quote or anything, but it's like, the excitement is just pure energy,
Mm.
right? And like it's totally fine for it to play out. We just want
It's
to give it
neutral.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly that. But the thing is that we end up getting sort of attached to it,
Right,
right? Not just observing it, like not staying on our breath and just seeing like, oh yeah, I'm thinking about sex and I'm thinking about cupcakes and I'm thinking about, like these
right,
thoughts are
right.
happening, but I'm still here on my object. It's not like that. We get carried away with it.
Yeah, yeah,
That's the
absolutely.
problem.
Yeah, yeah, it's exactly what happens. Well, maybe we should do, so I know next week we're going to talk about laxity, but maybe after that we could also talk about antidotes. Because I feel like we could have a whole show on antidotes to excitement and laxity, if that sounds good
I
to you.
I think that we can, but why don't you just tell me what do you do when you notice this restless, excited obstacle?
Well, it depends on kind of what level of excitement I'm in. So there's
Let's
kind
say
of
it's
like
gross level.
gross level. You know, sometimes I'll use a cognitive strategy where I'm, almost like a long rim approach where I'll remind myself of um, why I'm doing it, right?
Yeah.
So coming back to my intention, my motivation, bodhicitta, kind of trying to sober the mind.
Yeah.
And Ginlam Rinpa actually talks about that necessity of depressing the mind, like actually pressing the
Yeah.
mind down. And there is this really interesting, like almost physical way that when I'm really excited, excitable in my mind, a lot of scattering, I do feel like I feel up.
Oh
Like,
yeah. Oh
right? Like
yeah. Yeah.
my energy level,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like through the roof. I'm kind of
Yep.
I'm so up here, and it's like there's that's such a powerful antidote to say, okay, actually, no, we need to depress you a little bit.
Right.
You gotta come down.
Remember impermanence.
Remember, right? You're gonna die, bro. Like, yeah, sometimes
Yeah.
I
Most
will.
certainly you are going to die.
Sometimes I will just be like, dude, you're gonna die. And
Right.
then I'm like, okay, let me just kind of come back to my
Right.
breath
What are
now.
you trying to do before then?
Right,
Right?
right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well,
So
I love that you're, I recognize 100% what you're talking about. This up in here and this energy that
yeah,
feels very upward bound, right?
yeah,
And it has an alluring quality to it. It has this attractive quality to it, this exciting quality to it.
yeah,
For
yeah,
me, because for whatever reason, it's not the biggest obstacle for me, this particular obstacle, except that, especially early on in my practice, it still every now and then still shows up, but early on, it would be incredibly physical. Like
ah,
there's been more than one moment in my early practice where I would sit down and my body would like literally just like jump up off the
whoa.
cushion and just be like, no, 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 right? And so like, and it shows up in this like, I can't be still, right? And we know that, if the body is still, the mind will still. If the mind is still, the body will still, right? So it's all
Yeah,
interrelated, but that physical aspect of it is really important too, because there's a way to depress that as well to bring that back in. And I would say that that's, in my experience, the most helpful is the deep belly breathing and
right.
the sort of like the body scan type of thing where you really come into the body, right? Like I feel like when it's that upward high energy, right? Like that I'm really, really attracted to when it's like that. Like the absolute best thing I can do is to just come back down to earth, you
Yeah,
know, and like
yeah.
ground myself in my body and in my breath. And I mean like deep belly, like, oh, get it
Really
deep
deep,
down in there.
slow.
Yeah. And that does the same thing for the physical aspect of our body that you were talking about with the mental, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've found uh one of Lama's instructions to start your meditation with three slow, deep breaths. That's very helpful for me. If I
Yeah.
remember to do that, usually my meditation will go better, or better, quote unquote, maybe a little more focused. And I do kind of like an in through the nose, out through the mouth
Yeah.
type breath. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's stabilizing. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. Yeah, it's such a it's not one or the other. It really is
No.
body
No.
and mind approach.
We definitely are going to have to talk about antidotes because I think
Yeah.
there's a lot to be said here.
Oh yeah, there's so much. Yes. And we have so much to constantly be learning from our teachers. It's really exciting. I'm just, yeah,
Mm. Hey,
good stuff.
there was one quote that I wanted to read.
Please, yeah.
Okay, okay. All right. This is from Chugam Trungpa, and it's part of a longer piece, but this part was so beautiful. So let me see if I can grab it here. Um, if we provide enough room for restlessness so that it might function within the space, then the energy ceases to be restless because it can trust itself fundamentally. And this is the part that I loved. Meditation is giving a huge, luscious meadow to a restless cow. The cow might be restless for a while in its huge meadow, but at some stage, because there's so much space, the restlessness becomes irrelevant. So the cow eats and eats and eats and relaxes and falls asleep.
I love that. How pleasant. How
Right? That
beautiful.
spaciousness, like going from the little Ultimate Fighter cage to the big old arena, right? There's plenty of space there. Like maybe that the energy can just sort of like do its thing, its little dance, and then it dissipates and
Yeah, yeah.
peace.
I love that. Oh, thank you for sharing that. What
Yeah.
text is that in?
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. It is from let me
You
get
can
it.
find it next time too. Bring it with you.
Okay.
Yeah, you can
Okay. I
show
will.
it.
I
I'm,
will. I
I'm
will.
sure people would appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's the way of the
Oh,
warrior, but I'll
Way of the
double check.
Warrior. Oh,
I'll
excellent.
double check.
Well, my friend, this has been really wonderful.
Thank you.
As always, my heart feels a little bit more lifted and yeah,
Yeah.
motivated. So
Same, same. Thank you so much, Jack. I appreciate you.
thanks, Daniel. I appreciate you too. And thanks to everyone out there.
Yes.
If you get a chance, if you like the show, please donate Lions Roar Dharma Center. we'd really appreciate that. Yeah,
Heck yeah,
thank you.
we would.
All
Take care, everyone. Bye,
right.
Jack.
Bye.